Hey there, Champions League-tastic paper review for us this week. Top story, razzle-dazzle Basel and the Swiss side's shock win at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea on a high D-0 in this one, with Mourinho's best-laid plans going awry. In what was an awesomely good performance, says Swiss paper Blick. A dream start for Basel. The headline there echoed in the Basler Zeitung, who call it the biggest win in Basel's history. They pull off a miraculous hustle, courageous, clever, and also street smart. They can fulfill, says the Basler Zeitung, the manager's dream of staying in the Champions League plus Christmas. Meanwhile, they were like 11 lions with 3 lungs and 2 hearts, says Tigers Anzeiger, each, I assume. Basel very much the pride of Swiss football then. But elsewhere, some grumbling in the Swiss press over Jose Mourinho's supposed lack of sportsmanship. Blick, indeed, up in arms about his cursory post-match handshake with Basel boss Murat Yakin. We timed it, says the paper, without any apparent irony, and it only lasted 0.3 seconds. Funny, because he usually likes to stand around Yakin after the game. Well, let's move on anyway to Wednesday's other big news, which was Napoli's momentous win over Borussia Dortmund at the San Paolo, a victory which had the Italian press in raptures, particularly these guys here, the Neapolitan paper Il Mattino. A night like this, they say, we will never forget. Not since the days of El Pibe. Maradona reference. Tick. Have we seen emotions like these in Europe? There's much praise here for Rafa Benitez, particularly for his inclusion in the starting lineup of the homegrown star Lorenzo Insigne, who scored what turns out to be the first goal by a Neapolitan for Napoli in the Champions League. Brilliant free kick it was that the paper likens to Zola's back in the day. Picking this piccolo schignizzo Napolitana was a mark of Benitez's brilliance, says the paper. As soon as he saw him, he understood he had a star on his hands. Well, there is Insigne and the other goal scorer Gonzalo Higuain on the cover of Gazzetta. Napoli acting like the big boys, the sort of headline there. Corriere dello Sport, meanwhile, fly, Napoli, fly. This is a message to Europe, says the paper. Even Tuttosport have them on the front page. Napoli like a dream, they say, although Tuttosport being the Turin-based football paper, they make their biggest Champions League story. This fellow here, Fernando Llorente, unused once again in Juve's game Tuesday at Copenhagen, asked the paper, is he just a pretty face? Llorente, like Anelka and Bentner before him, the latest striker to sign for the old lady, and never play, a role that he's trained hard for by basically never playing for his last club too, Athletic Bilbao, after the contract dispute which took him to Juve in the first place. Well, now with just 1 minute of game time so far this season, and after Conte used everyone but Llorente in the midweek game at Copenhagen, the case of the disciplining Llorente, as El País have called it, is making headlines both in Italy and Spain. Indeed, have you seen this man? Asked La Repubblica on Thursday, pointing out that Llorente's name is almost an anagram of frenata relento, sort of handbrake slowdown. They ask, did Juve actually only sign him on a Bosman just to sell him off at a whopping profit come January? Well, given that the move has now cost him most of last season and potentially half of this one too, that would be cruel indeed. Still, there are plenty of sides who are expected to be in for him come January. Certainly it's the kind of problem that Chelsea fans would love to have, a Spanish striker called Fernando who never plays for your team. Anyway, moving on, let's turn to Spain now. Big week there, of course. Fears that Ronaldo's self-love might have gone too far, heightened as A, he gets himself pregnant, and B, he's apparently started going blind. On field, though, it is all good news. Tuesday, Ronaldo playing a star role in Real's 6-1 demolition of Galatasaray. Here's the Turkish headline. Drogba sprawling on the ground. Did anyone get the licence plate? Ronaldo's hat-trick, though, in the match, prompting Thomas Roncero on the cover of AS to ask, is Ronaldo better than Puskás? Yeah, 205 goals from Puskás in his first 204 games for Real. Ronaldo has scored 206. Paper, though, the next day reconsidering. They point out that Puskás actually posted those figures at 31 years of age, after 2 of which he'd spent out of the game as a refugee from the Soviet invasion of Hungary, which kind of trumps feeling a little bit sad over your contract. Anyway, Wednesday, of course, saw Ronaldo's big rival Leo Messi respond in kind with a hat-trick of his own as Barcelona wiped the floor with Ajax. Messi also scores 3. Trumpets Sport there. And even Marca put Messi on their cover Thursday. And alongside him, nice to see Atletico Madrid. They're back in the Champions League with a win. Nice as well to have a chance to salute their remarkable shirt sponsor this year. While Messi is sporting Qatar Airways, here we see on the Atleti jersey, Azerbaijan, land of fire. Sep, wonder what that's like in June. Well, anyway, that's it for this week's look at the papers. We'll be back in 7 days with more fun from the Continental Press. Hopefully, see you then.